Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 44 of Like, Share, Follow. And this week I'm chatting to Lexi Gugger, who is a USC grad who only graduated a couple of weeks ago. And she is now a merchandising assistant at GPC Asia Pacific. So, welcome, Lexi. How are you going?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm doing really well. How are you?
Oh, really well. And so we were just chatting. So, you're in your car, but not
Yeah.
only you're in your car, you are at the airport. So,
Yeah.
why are you in your
GPC,
car at the airport?
GPC is located by the Brisbane airport, so we're quite close to the tarmacs here, and we've got an event on inside. So I thought I'd take that time out and get some quiet.
So we could chat. And so tell me about the company you work for. What do they actually do?
So GPC Asia Pacific, our mission is to be Asia Pacific's preferred and trusted supplier of aftermarket vehicle parts, accessories, and solutions. So anything to do with aftermarket vehicle parts, we sort of handle. So we do a lot in a various different spaces, from trade to retail.
Okay. And what's your role there? What does it actually involve?
So as a merchandising assistant, I sit within a category team. So I provide marketing and admin support for the cooling team. So we do with everything cooling related and AC related as well.
Excellent. And so you were supposed to graduate last year and then COVID hit. So there were no graduations. And so you graduated a couple of weeks ago. And but so tell me what happened between when you actually finished your course and then now where you're working with GPC.
So the end of 2019 was when I did my last course at USC. And I sort of transitioned out of that and into the workforce full time, which was really interesting after 3 years of studying full time. And I think there came that moment where the whole world kind of just stopped at the beginning of last year, and
Mm.
we realized what impact that had. So for me, I transitioned full time into a freelance copywriter. Was the right choice for me, and I think the right choice in terms of the world where we were at that time. It afforded me a lot of opportunity to actually digest and sit back and reflect on my 3 years at university, as well as afford me opportunity within the workforce to actually use those skills that I'd learned, and connect with people during a very interesting time. Um, so I got towards the end of last year, and I was looking for a challenge. I was looking for a team environment, and I started looking for different roles. And when I saw this role at GPC, I just thought that's exactly what I need to step into at this time. What was right for me, and I think it challenges me in a whole new way that I had never been challenged before. In an industry that I had no experience in, handling more print media, whereas I have more of an e-commerce background. So I think that was the right choice for me. And I've been here since November last year. So just going on 6 months. It's really exciting.
Excellent. And so you actually gave the speech at your graduation, and so I was sitting up on the stage behind you, listening intently, and it was an amazing speech. And it wasn't your not that there's ever an average graduate speech, but this really hit home, and it really resonated with a lot of people. So could you just sum up sort of what you covered in that speech?
Thank you. Yeah, it was really special and an honor to have been able to do the graduate's address. Um, I really wanted to say something that was relevant to my cohort, being a year after we were supposed to graduate. And I sort of looked back at my journey and how I'd progressed after uni. And I think the overall theme and message was to acknowledge and respect who and where you are in this moment, and to understand how you're portraying yourself in the professional world. So I spoke about an experience I had where a mentor at USC had said to me, you need to stop referring to yourself as, just a third year student. You need to start referring to yourself as an emerging professional. And that really changed my perspective, because I hadn't realized I was portraying myself that way. And as soon as I started doing that, I felt more respectable and I felt more empowered and I felt more connected to who I was as a professional. And I started leading with that strong foot forward. And I hope that my fellow students and colleagues do that too in how they present themselves in the professional world, but also acknowledge that what you say really does have an effect on how people think and feel about you, because that's a reflection of how you think and feel about yourself. So I hope to inspire and put some seeds down of positive words for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, because in the courses that we teach at USC, the social media courses, they're very client focused. And oh, well, Lexi's gone. So I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, she'll come back. I will just talk to you for a moment until she comes back. But Lexi's speech was amazing because why it really resonated was that it really tried to stop people from undermining what they do at university and start to see themselves as working out in the field. Often students that I work with, they won't go for things while they're at university or take advantage of opportunities where they can keep building their skills outside of the classroom because they're fearful that they don't have the skills to do it. But it's a matter of sort of going through that process where you are fearful to actually gain the skills. Like you've got to keep, like, what do they say? If you're walking through hell, keep walking. So, so you got to walk through the fire to get to the other side. So you have to learn these skills by actually doing them. So look, I don't think Lexi's coming back. Maybe her phone died, but yeah. So Lexi's been. She was one of the excellent students at USC because she always took advantage of the opportunities that we gave to her, which is really, really good. But I think I might end today's broadcast just because I'm supposed to be interviewing someone and I'm not sure that you really want to hear me. Oh, she's back. She's back. Here we go.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Welcome back. I was just ad-libbing. I was about to go. I thought no one really wants to listen to me.
Oh, gosh. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. So I was just saying how why your speech was so powerful was because what I often encounter with students that I'm working with is that they will not, some students will not make the most of the opportunities presented to them to gain extra skills outside of the classroom because they feel like they're not ready. And but you have to gain this, you have to go through the experience to gain the skills. So it's this sort of catch-22 that you'll never be ready until you do it. So yeah, and we were talking before we went live just about that, how I try and encourage students, particularly the social media students who've done a couple of courses, to take on clients while they're studying to earn money, which is, it's a great way. I wish I could have earned money when I was at university doing that. I sold shoes and I was a census collector, there's nothing wrong with that. But I would have loved to have worked on social media then, and it also helps to gain their experience and build up their reputation and folio. So I was just saying how you were really great at identifying opportunities and taking advantage of them.
I think that encouragement that came from my lecturers and tutors, that's what really helped me take those steps forward, because I think I lacked that confidence in myself. And I sort of put those words like just on the front of everything that I was saying about myself. And once you start taking those steps outside of being a student and actually gaining experience, I think that's what helps build your confidence and your self-efficacy and enables you to actually take those steps forward and confidently present your work to clients and your value to clients, which then feeds again into your portfolio, but also your value that you bring and how you feel about yourself as a professional.
Absolutely. And so tell me, what do you think set you apart from other candidates going for the role that you have now?
I can only speak for myself, but I was 24 when I graduated, so I was a bit younger, a bit older than most graduates that came out of that particular degree that I'd done. And I think prior to that, I'd spent a lot of time sort of taste testing different industries and different roles. And I think that combined knowledge from different industries had really set me apart in that I had different skill sets that weren't necessarily necessary for that role, but could easily feed into and benefit that role that I was doing. So I think rounding myself as a professional in different areas had set me apart from someone who would have been maybe an expert in their field.
Yeah, and I mean, even your degree was a really interesting, but when you look at it, it was a fantastic sort of range of knowledge and skills. So you did a Bachelor of Creative Industries and major in creative writing and marketing and advertising. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, so double major.
Double major. What a great mix of skills and knowledges. So, I mean, you need the creativity. You would need that in advertising. You need it in marketing. You need it, to, when you're writing in general. So, that was really. I just find that very smart, a smart approach to the way that you came out of uni with your degree and how you actually use it now.
Thank you. Yeah, I really wanted to find a degree that felt right for me, and I think taking those couple of years after high school to kind of go out and explore and play and see what really made me feel fulfilled, and to understand that maybe my passion is not what I want to do as a full-time job, and to keep that as my passion, something that's special. So when I saw that Creative Industries offered that opportunity to kind of thread marketing, the logical, analytical side, and then creative industries with creative writing, I just thought that feels so like me, and it has served me in the best way possible.
Yeah, and did you know now that the School of Business and Creative Industries has merged? So yeah, so it's actually a formal thing now. So I think that's a great marriage.
Wow.
Yeah, and so tell me, what's some of the, apart from the emerging professional advice, which was very profound, what is some of the best career advice you've been given?
In an interview, the person who interviewed me, they actually became my manager. They had said something. It wasn't particularly advice. It was more a thought or a school of thought, and it was, I can teach skill, but I can't teach personality. And that for me was like, whoa. And I was quite young at the time. So having heard that, I was kind of like, okay, so he's not looking at the things that I thought he would base my entire interview on, like my experience and my skill sets and my qualifications, but he was looking at me as a person, and that was something that I think I'd previously not given enough weight to. And I think that that's something I carry through now. It's like, yes, you can always learn more, and you will always be learning more. It's an evolving field and an evolving world, but who you are as a person and your authenticity in communicating that played a much bigger role than I'd ever expected it to. So I started leading more forward with my values. These are my values, and this is who I am. This is my personality. And in anything that you do these days, it's going to be a collaboration. So you've got to be able to work in a team and understand different personalities. So I think that really changed things for me as well. And I wasn't putting that pressure on myself, like I need to have the best grades or I need to have the most experience to even be considered for a role. It was more like, you've got that experience, but you've also got that personal touch, which sets you apart. So I think that was pretty profound for me.
Yeah, and speaking of what you learned at university, what are some of the skills or knowledge that you learned that has really helped you and been most helpful to you in your current role?
I think it has to be sort of a blend for me. Something that I didn't get in my years in the workforce was the in-depth knowledge around research and that critical thinking frame of mind that I hadn't really thought about or applied in my previous roles. So I think that's really served me in being able to approach projects, different collaborations, and just things that I want to learn about so differently. And with that critical frame of mind, I think that I'm more able to effectively analyze situations. In that same token, I think collaboration is something that I've really learnt at university, and that sort of every interaction is or could be a collaboration. So you never know who you're going to come across out in the workforce, your friends, your peers, your colleagues, your tutors and lecturers. They could turn into clients or vice versa. And every moment is truly an opportunity to collaborate with someone else and learn. So I think that was something I'll always remember from university.
And on the flip side of that, what is something that some knowledge that you've really needed or a skill you've really needed since being in your current role that you weren't taught at university?
I think particularly when I was full-time freelance copywriting, I think I hadn't had the bolstering potentially I could have gotten around SEO and the effects that SEO can have in every segment of your marketing. And rather than coming at the tail end of your copywriting with, oh, SEO, actually starting with SEO and working forward. How am I going to frame things? Who am I going to reach out to? What are my long and short tails? Things like that, I think, could have prepared me. But coming out of university, that was something that I needed to transition into, that non-full study mode. And that was a perfect project for me to pick up after university.
Yeah, and I mean, we try and put it in, but I think SEO could be a whole course on its own. So that's something I can pose later. So also tell me what is, because I know you were telling me how sort of social media is not your core focus in your current role, but tell me how it does play a part.
It sort of plays a role in the greater scheme of things. Because there are so many different channels. It's a multi-channel focus with everything that we do, and the products and things that we choose to list or put into promotions, they flow on through to the website and flow on through into social media channels, particularly when we're running promotions. So it might not be something that you think of when you do social media, but it all flows into effect, and things that you do in the back end, how that's presented in social media, and to see the effects that online drives for the promotions is really, really exciting. And to be a part of a greater marketing plan with so many different categories is really interesting. You've got some categories that are much more retail focused, some that are more trade focused, and seeing how each category chooses to portray themselves in those spaces.
And tell me, because I always ask something that you've learned about social media in the last couple of weeks, like a bit of information, a hack, a tool, or something. It can be related to your job. It doesn't have to be. It could just be something fun learned along the way. So can you think of anything that you've picked up in the last couple of weeks?
I actually read something recently about TikTok looking to bring in product and ad promotions into their platform. So potentially bringing e-commerce into the TikTok space, which I think would be a really interesting development for TikTok, and open up a whole new revenue stream and access to audiences that perhaps were so niche and segmented that we couldn't quite get to before. So if that comes through, I think that would be a real big game changer.
Absolutely. Yeah. And TikTok just keeps evolving and innovating all the time. So it's going to be really interesting how it keeps going. And now I'm at the most, oh no, we're nearly at the end, but I also wanted to ask, apart from all the amazing advice you've already given, what else can you tell emerging professionals, current students? They might be students, but they're still emerging professionals, about how to succeed in their careers?
I think something that I would have liked to have told myself, maybe first year or second year, was to continuously evaluate who you want to become and where you want to go. And I think I could have spent more time around building in skills or knowledge that would set me up for the future, for the roles that I was going for. So look at job roles. Even if you are in the perfect job now, look at different job roles inside and outside of your industry and see if there are things that you could potentially learn and transpose into your current role, or vice versa, and how you can value add to yourself but to others as well, and maybe set up those moments where you collaborate and have a coffee with someone who's a wedding planner to teach you about project management, and you share a little bit about social media. I think I should have been more courageous about that, and understand that I do have skills and values that I could share with someone else in exchange for, you know, their knowledge and their skills. So don't be afraid to reach out to other people is sort of what I'm saying. And don't belittle yourself and your values and your skills, because you do have them regardless of where you come from or what you're studying or what year you're in. There's always going to be something that people will find valuable, but you have to find it valuable first. So I think that's the greatest thing.
That's amazing. I love that advice. Thank you. And the most important question of the interview is, who do you like, share and follow?
I think it depends on what platform and what kind of outcome I'm looking for. You know, Facebook for me is very community oriented, family, friends. Instagram is more when I need to uplift myself or get more in touch with my creative side. I follow people like Atticus, who is a well-known poet who also infuses marketing. So he has incredible poetry, but also a wine range where his poetry is printed on the back of wine bottles, and merchandise range. And I follow people like Rupi Kaur, but I also follow Brooke Vilinovich, who is an Instagram coach, and she's the founder of the Social Club, who I found really, really helpful and approachable in her tips and tricks. So I go there for that type of content. And yeah, I think it really depends what I'm looking for. And I follow all kinds of people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn for me is like where I come to just sort of sit and observe and watch what kind of content people are putting out, and things that are important to certain people in certain industries, and how that can maybe translate across into my world or into their world, what I'm interested in. I think there's so much value in LinkedIn. And it's interesting to see people who are at the top of their industry posting certain things, and then you've got people who are just starting out, and the difference in their content. I just think it's a really great learning platform for me. Yeah, and I guess lastly, I follow people like Brendan Burchard, who's a high performance coach, to continually keep myself learning and on track in terms of podcasts and YouTube videos. So yeah, a bit of a mixture.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. And you strike me as that sort of eclectic individual. So based on your degree and then what your career journey. So I think that's good. I think that's what life's all about. So yeah, so maybe you could actually tag some of those people or put the links in the post where this video is, so they can check them out too.
Sure.
And so we've reached the end of the interview. So do you have any final words to share?
I just want to say thank you for all that you do, Karen, in your space, and having you as a lecturer was really beneficial for me. And I know that other students cannot speak more highly of you and the work that you do. And I think that everybody has the opportunity to become a role model. And I think that might not be what you set out to become, but I think you certainly are a role model for a lot of people, your colleagues, as well as for students. And I really appreciate the work that you do. It's valuable. And so thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, that just made me want to cry. But I love it, and I just find I'm very lucky, and it's a privilege, like it really is, and I'm grateful every day that I get to do the job that I do. So and I love the fact that I get to catch up with people and catch up with just to see where they are. So thank you. And we've had a comment just come in. So Dr. Renee Ralph said, "Wow, a live interview in a car."
It's not every day, and it comes with its challenges, obviously, technical challenges, but
you're an eclectic individual.
That's right. Keep you on your toes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. So we've come to the end, and next week's guest, we have Yvette Davies, who's a graphic and web designer and social media strategist. So Yvette will be talking to us. I don't know if she'll be in her car or somewhere else. Thank you so much, Lexi. And yeah, maybe you might want to go and get some fresh air now. So you're there for a while. So,
thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next week.